Are you ready to unleash your full potential and become unstoppable in your success and leadership?
Welcome to the Unleashed and Unstoppable podcast, where we provide powerful insights and strategies for coaches, corporate leaders, and entrepreneurs. I'm Alexanne Carter.
And I'm Carol Register, and we're certified master neurocoaches who are passionate about helping you overcome your limiting beliefs and optimize your performance.
Each week, we'll be sharing actionable tips and strategies using neuroscience, from interviews with industry experts to solo episodes to help you lead a life of power, purpose, and possibility on your own terms.
Join our community of like-minded individuals. Hit subscribe now, and let's be unleashed and unstoppable together.
Hey, leaders. We are so excited to welcome you to our 50th episode. I can't believe we are already here. Unleashed and Unstoppable podcast is at 50 episodes, and what a great way to celebrate 50 episodes by leaning into celebration, right? Celebration. You know, Tom Peters has a quote out there that you want to celebrate what you want to see more of. And I know for Carol and I, we really want to lean into, we want to see more of the podcast. We want to see more downloads, have more listeners, and really be able to, serve you more and really help you become unleashed and unstoppable in your leadership, in your performance, in your wealth, and just really be able to go out there and make a bigger impact in all the lives that you touch. So when it comes to celebration, and the neuroscience behind celebration, this is a topic that Carol and I are very passionate about speaking about, because we know, number one, how the brain likes to prevent us from celebrating. As high achievers, how it can be not always a really easy muscle to be able to exercise and practice. And how it's fascinating to see how this is probably one of the number one things that our clients tend to have probably one of the hardest times doing. And yet it is it's such a foundational thing of tapping into the neuroscience of success, right? And so what we just thought, what a great topic to dive in, celebrate 50 episodes with you, and also help you lean into being able to celebrate more of what you want to be celebrating and to activate the reticular activating system to attract more of what you want to attract. So, Carol, let's start with the neuroscience. Like, what are the benefits of celebrating?
Oh my goodness, there are so many benefits. And, leaning into that, high achiever, goal-oriented, achievement-oriented. I have spent so much of my life going goal next, without ever pausing or stopping and celebrating all that I've done and how far I've come, who I am today, as opposed to who I was. And it's powerful for our brains, for us to stop and pause. We do activate our reticular activating system towards our goals, furthering our vision when we take the time to stop and celebrate. Now, here's the cool thing. The brain is actually wired for reward. That's why we're on our phones all the time. Anybody say dopamine hit? Yeah. And, especially if you have any kind of ADHD, which many of us entrepreneurs struggle with. We're very creative. We love to move. We're always doing things. Well, here's the exciting part is we can actually start to reward our brains for the goals we're going for when we're in that discomfort zone, right? When everything in our brain is going, hey, this is not familiar. This is not safe. I need to take you back over here to what your habits and your patterns are. Even if they're faulty, then you can literally lean in with acknowledgement and celebration in micro and many ways, as well as medium and big ways, to reward your brain for the growing and the goals you're going for. Yeah.
And part of what even Carol's leaning into is why so many leaders and entrepreneurs and high achievers burn out. because they are really staying driven and connected to that, you know, that bigger goal. And as Carol's saying, it's like, okay, check, move on. And you might experience like a little bit of celebration, right? Because if you do have a to-do list and you like to check off what you've done, like that is a way of celebrating, acknowledging that you've accomplished something, right?
It's a dopamine hit.
However, when you are like Carol and myself, when you are someone listening to this podcast, because we know you, right? You're like our clients are just like us. It's that bigger, you know, it's like you're always looking for the bigger thing. And until you get to that bigger thing, you're not complete. You might experience that
you haven't done enough.
And the failure and a lot of the self-criticism, the self-doubt, because you're so focused on that bigger piece. Part of leaning into the neuroscience of the success and really leaning into the celebration is being able to break it down and celebrating the milestones, right? Celebrating the process and the journey. You know, I've been talking a lot when we look at goals, right? Like you've kind of got like a bigger goal, which will be the mountain, and then you've got these boulders that together, right, combined together will create that goal. But you have pebbles. You got the little pebbles along the way, right? The high achiever is just going to focus on the peak of the mountain, right? Which we've spoken into before about, you know, reaching the peak performance, because we're focused on that peak state of that high achievement piece. And then we lose sight of the pebbles. We can even sometimes lose sight of the boulders, but those are part of the process. Those are part of the journey. And I know it might seem so silly as we're inviting you to celebrate those, but that is really how you're able to see that things are actually moving forward on what you set out to achieve.
I love that. And it actually ties right into, we have gotten to a place now, Alex and I, where we actually celebrate our breakdowns. Now, this is a huge part of not only neuroscience, but leadership. Because why? The celebration of the breakdown is because the breakdown means the breakthrough is on the way. It is right there. And from the neuroscience perspective, that's brain resistance. That breakdown is brain resistance. It's everything in your brain. Our sophisticated and very wily brains will pull out all the stops literally to keep us in the old patterns and habits. And so this is why when you grow, not only are you uncomfortable, your brain is looking for reward, and it will provide you with the neurochemicals to stay stuck. It will make you feel good to get you back into your comfort zone. You'll be comfortable, right? But like you mentioned in a past episode, and I don't remember which one, Alex, you put it so succinctly when you said, even though we're being taken back to our comfort zones, it's not necessarily comfortable.
Yeah.
We're in tension there. And that's just the brain protecting the automated system. Your brain is working normally. Celebrate your brain for working normally when that resistance comes up. And, you know, so begin to see that as you're up leveling, the breakdowns that happen are taking you through the upper limit. They're taking you past what you've been able to do before. And, I love that about being able to celebrate that. Now I'm like, I'm breaking down and it's just feeling miserable, and I'm just in, you know, doubt and not enough, and celebrate.
I think it's also important to acknowledge that it's natural to want to do that. And so even to acknowledge that you're doing that is also a reason to celebrate, because you can acknowledge, okay, this is what I'm experiencing right now. This is the internal dialogue that I'm experiencing. This is what's happening. Because that information, even that awareness piece, allows you to then get back in control and then shift it to look at, okay, this is a breakdown. I get to celebrate this breakdown.
Yeah.
Because as you celebrate the breakdown and acknowledge, hey, this is a sign that I'm leveling up and I'm taking risk and I'm putting myself out there and I'm using my voice, that I'm, you know, stepping into my irresistible bold leadership to make that difference. you're celebrating the growth and the neurochemical cocktail that you get to experience, whether it's a win or it's a lesson, it's the same thing. Like your brain doesn't really know the difference. And so the more that you're able to acknowledge that in some way, shape, or form, you're going to experience that flood of neurochemicals. And then that's what fuels your motivation. That's what's going to fuel you to be able to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again because of that, you know, the joy and the things that you're experiencing. Because that's, you know, a lot of times we think of celebration as in always, you know, oftentimes there's joyful and these happy times, but it doesn't have to be always this massive thing. It literally can be. And I love, you know, got iPhones, and I'm not sure if Android does this, but it literally could be a simple text message to a friend where you get the little celebration experience. It's just as Carol said earlier, it's taking a moment to pause and acknowledge yourself. Yeah. I'm just thinking about the client call I had yesterday, and my client's like, and all this happened, and then she just went on, and I was like, pause. I went, stop. And then she just looked at me, and she knew why I asked her to stop, because she started off sharing all of the wins, all of the progress that she had made up until like our call. And then without, like, literally in the same exact breath, when all the things that were not, that, you know, that
weren't working.
Weren't working, and some of the unknowns and the unforeseens, and you know, and it's fascinating. That's what we're saying. Like, it's fascinating, literally in the exact same breath. She didn't pause and haven't take another breath. No, the exact same breath, same sentence. And this is the brain, right? Dismissing what is working or what's the journey and what's happening, and always wanting to go back to that automatic negative, right? Our brains are 9 times more negative than we are positive. And so it's going to, but it's, I think this is why Carol and I love
the brain safety,
right? Because we see the brain doing this, like, right in front of our eyes. And so that's why we lean into the acknowledgement piece, being able to pause and being able to just take a second, like whether it is a text message, whether it's a dance party to your favorite song, whether it is just being able to, you know, take a moment outside and just feel the sun on your face. Like, I know that's something that I like to do a lot, right? Finding ways to just build the muscle of acknowledgement and of celebration, because, you know, as we said earlier with Tom Peters' quote, right? You want to celebrate what you want to see more of.
I actually want to, you reminded me of something that I want to leave as a call to action for each of you. And Alex, I love that. It is really important to, whenever we're approaching something that may be a new habit for us, and celebration, certainly, maybe one of those new habits, to break it down small. And it can be as simple as getting up and having a cup of tea, setting a 5-minute timer on your phone and taking your cup of tea, or going to stand and look out the window at nature, going for a walk, getting the vitamin D. It can be whatever you want it to be, but you're being very intentional that this is my acknowledgement of me. This is my acknowledgement of how fabulous I am. Look at what I've done. And, you know, speaking that out loud is extremely powerful, because our communication centers are a very dominant part of our brains, and it can help further along in a faster manner the things that we're wanting, you know, the joy of life. If you look back on life, is it going to be, I got every goal done? Or is it going to be, I experienced love, I experienced joy, I experienced peace? And just tying in the gratitude piece with that, and the way that gratitude leads to celebration. It pauses us in anxiety that we experience. It actually builds a barrier, an artificial barrier in the brain against anxiety. That can be something that is also a part of the power of celebration for you. Just saying, thank you. Wow, thank you. I did this, you know?
And as you were leaning into the gratitude piece, I mean, what lands with me is, we often hear a lot about gratitude practice. And my invitation is to, like, if you have the practice at nighttime to kind of review your day or something like that, is to celebrate your day, to lean into what are you celebrating? Because a lot of times daily reviews, nighttime reviews, often leading to all the things I didn't accomplish, all the things that I'm doing tomorrow. And I want to lean into invite you to really look at what you did today, like really accomplish that. And then to take a second to acknowledge yourself and how you acknowledge that. So if you had the cup of tea or took that pause, and because it's creating that awareness piece to lean into developing that new muscle. We know how challenging this muscle can be, right? And so, what's funny and I'll be fully transparent about this. To be honest with you, it's my husband that reminds me and helps me celebrate because I do it with him. And sometimes maybe that's what you might need for you is, a friend or a loved one or your partner to be that person to support you. I mean, I know we're going to wrap this up, but what came to mind right now was the dinner table. Like, could it be a practice of just around the dinner table of everybody sharing what their wins are for the day?
Yeah. And Alex, you reminded me with the community piece, my program is open right now. And we really go deep on helping you to remove your money blocks and wire in your increase in income, get that flowing into you. It is a proven process. It happens easily within 90 days. And I can tell you we have lots and lots of great testimonials about this happening. It's happened to me. And so I want you to know that putting yourself in the rooms where there are supportive communities, where you do have a mentor and a guide that can walk you through the process, just like Alex was saying with her husband, to be able to celebrate is so powerful and so important and will skyrocket your results. So just let me know if you're interested. You can reach me on Instagram, and I'm at NeuroCoach Carol. And so that community piece is huge.
And I love, I think, as we wrap up here, to lean into, as we're leaning into celebrating, like even we're looking at the 50 episodes. I mean, this is a partnership, right? Cal and I are here as partners to bring this to you. And we're not, we're inviting you to not go at this alone, right? So enroll those, whether it's your family members or your community members, to support you in this as you develop this new muscle. And it gets to be fun, right? It gets to be fun to get creative with ways that you get to celebrate. And yes, celebrate the big events and celebrating the milestones, celebrating those little pebbles, celebrating the progress that you are creating, whether it's a breakdown or a breakthrough, to just lean into that and make it fun. Like, that's my, I would really invite the listener to just think about, like, what is the next thing that I get to celebrate, so that you can make that declaration and then decide how you want to celebrate it.
I have a call to action. This was something that when I was in a leadership course, somebody assigned this to me, and it will be a stretch. It's a really fun one. Speaking of fun, I want you to write down 50 ways that you can practice self-care, which is acknowledgement of yourself, celebrating yourself in 5 minutes or less with only yourself. So getting that cup of tea fits that perfectly. I'm giving you a head start. Now you only have 49 to think of. And what will happen neuroscience wise is you'll easily come up with 5 to 10, but stick with the process, because I'm telling you, neuroscience, I'm being funny, it's magic and miracles will happen. You can actually write out 50 ways. And so I would invite you to do that. It's really powerful, and keep that list with you to keep as a reminder as you go on this journey of learning how to celebrate yourself.
And I was going to say, share your list on socials, tag both Carol and I, so that we can see your list. I know that we've both have our own list, and it's fun to see what others are sharing on their list. And this is a great way, right? Yeah. Getting that list started allows you to have some ideas of how to celebrate, and then really looking at what is the next event that I get to celebrate, and having fun with it, and looking at ways that you get to involve those around you in the celebration so that you can create more celebration, create more dopamine, more joy, more happiness around you, and really create more focus on creating more of what you want to be celebrating and those achievement pieces. So yeah, I love
celebrating 50.
So we're celebrating every single one of you as well for listening to up until now our 50th episode. And please continue to share the podcast, write reviews, contact us. Let us know what are some topics that you'd love for us to lean into. We're all about helping you become Unleashed Unstoppable and really using your brain and tapping into the neuroscience of success to support you with your performance as you go out there in the world as this really powerful leader and make the impact that you get to create. So thank you so much to everybody who's listening, and we'll see you guys all next week. Bye.
Ciao for now. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unleashed Unstoppable podcast with your hosts, Alexandra Carter and Carol Register.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review, and subscribe.
That's all for this episode, Wildly Ambitious Leaders. See you next week.